Yo, welcome to the Godcast.
I hope y'all are buckled up, because things are about to get weird.
I don't understand why you chose me.
You want to change the world, son. So do I.
Where are we at in terms of history, on the timeline? Where are we exactly? I'm just trying to uncover the truth and bring forth what I can see as the truth. The Bible seemed to be predicting more things than any other conspiracy theory type information, Look, one thing's for certain, that there is so much power in the name of Jesus Christ. That I know for sure.
Welcome to Godcast.
Welcome to Godcast.
The Goodness Over Darkness.
The Goodness Over Darkness podcast.
Here is your host.
Here's your host.
Here's your host,
Emmanuel Kingman.
Emmanuel Kingman.
Welcome to the light.
Welcome to the light.
Welcome to the light.
It's showtime. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Godcast, the Goodness Over Darkness podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Kingman, and with me is my beautiful, lovely partner, Mimi.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, my love?
I am well.
All right, so today's special guest was Ron Weed. He just started his own podcast, the Imaginarium of Thought. Ron is a very interesting guy, so he reached out to me because he has had alien abduction experiences, or to that effect. Maybe not a full thing.
Paranormal experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he had very odd things occur to him, non-paranormal things that were very odd. People running up to him and asking about the widow's son, which is apparently some kind of distress call by Freemasons. And he had this happen to him on multiple occasions.
Which is really weird.
Yeah, I've never heard of this in my life, and he's...
For it to happen once is okay, whatever. But twice, that's odd.
Yeah, very weird. And someone in his high school, was a Freemason, and they showed him this number scheme that we went into detail about the last half hour or so. So you'll want to catch the video version of that. I tried to explain it verbally, but it's best if you see that part. So it was just very, he has had some very weird experiences, and he lives near us in Savannah, which was
very close.
Yeah, which is cool. We'll have to meet up with him sometime.
He's had a lot of paranormal experiences here in this state, in this area.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
He said everybody he knows has paranormal experiences.
I believe that. Savannah's a very, historical, haunted place.
Yeah, I think it's, they call it the most haunted city in America or something, right?
I'm not sure if it's the most haunted, maybe.
Something to that effect, I think. But yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So do you want to check out Ron's stuff, the Imaginarium of Thought? Is this podcast, and this is the first episode with the new mics, so hopefully it's more clear.
And the new intro, I really like it.
Yeah, this new intro.
I really like that.
Yeah, I made this just yesterday, because the one before that was supposed to be longer lasting than it was, but it's sounded very monotone and wasn't.
Yeah, this is the first time I heard this one, so
yeah,
I'm proud of this one. I like it.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Thank you, my love.
You're welcome.
And yeah, the microphones, and it's very representative of my life, is becoming very one thing I'm being led to, just uncovering the truth, and I'm having one clear voice rather than I had before. I had several different microphones that I was switching back and forth from, and then it was echoing from this one and echoing that one. So there was I was saying, maybe I was speaking. So this is how God speaks to me. This is how I read it, is that what was happening to me with the microphones was I was talking in different ways, and I was echoing the same things at different times. And now I have one clear, concise voice that I'm going to be putting forward, and I figured that a new intro was needed for that. So I hope that the quality is much better than it has been, because I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I could tell you that I was not happy with how everything was sounding. So that's why I went out last week, and that's why Ron, he was so patient with us, but his episode got pushed back like 5, 6 hours from when we were originally supposed to record, because I was out shopping to get the right equipment, actually in Savannah. So, it all ties back together. Is there anything else that we want to go over from the intro, or in the
No,
intro?
I don't really want to give any spoilers.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. We talk about alien abductions. I talk about mine, and we talk about the Greys, and we talk. Ron has a lot of interesting stories to tell. I think this one is like 2, 3 hours almost,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
don't remember.
Yeah, it was long.
Surprise! I don't remember.
Yeah, it was long, but it was good. It was good. Ron,
I do suggest watching the video to see this number pattern thing, because it's very interesting.
Yeah, so just a brief breakdown. It's there's all zeros on one end, and there's all nines on the other, and then
I think
it works up in masculine is the odd numbers, and the feminine is the even numbers. So it's paired up, and he just does these things, and he's been posting on his Instagram about it, how with magnets, and it's interesting
yeah, he connects
stuff.
it to like magnets. He connects it to the Bible. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We all have and Merkabah's. He connects it to. So it's all interesting the way our minds interpret things, and I always love a good conversation with an open-minded person who's going to speak out, because I got a lot of third eye visions. I was seeing his memories when he's talking about the Greys that he saw. I was seeing his memory that he was seeing as he was talking about it. It was very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, he's come face to face with the Greys, and you'll see. It is a fun conversation, and I hope that you all enjoy it. So I think that's going to do it. Make sure you check out my website, emmanuelkingman.com. I've been on some podcasts recently. I have an appearance from Surviving the System. I had an appearance on Mystical American Patriot Society. I have an appearance on Expanding Reality that's coming out soon. It's not out at the moment of recording, but we've already recorded, so it'll be out soon. I'm going on another podcast today, Grimerica. I'm not sure when that one will be out either, but you catch me in all these different places if you enjoy all of my stuff. It's just me going on their shows is an extension of me and my show. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead, check me out. Check out the YouTube channel, Goodness Over Darkness. I have another upcoming roundtable set with a bunch of different psychics and healers, and we're going to talk about how we have transformed ourselves, and it'll be a really good discussion that a lot of different people will be able to pick up on different things, different techniques that they can then use for themselves, because not one way works for everybody needs to find their own way. So we need as many possibilities as possible so people can find their way through all of the other ways. So it'll be a very interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to it very much. And I'm going to begin making some flyers for that and getting it out here soon. So check out all that stuff. Hit me up on social media. Hit up Ron on social media. All this stuff will be in the links. And make sure you stay tuned at the end of the episode for a preview of the next episode. Oh, and also I'm doing the intros in video now. So I'll put them up on YouTube, because I've been doing a hit or miss, because it's just another step of work to do, and I'll eventually probably have to sign up for something, which will then want money, something to that effect. And I'm all tapped out at the moment, so we'll see what happens. But if you do want to donate to the show, you can go to my website. At the bottom is a donate tab. And also you can hit me up for energy work. I did a great work with somebody this past week. Her review
Details to
is on
come.
her review is on my website. Yeah, and I'll give some of the details later, but it was a thing of beauty, and this woman is hugely important to the entirety of humanity. So, you know, when I heard her say that in a podcast that was recorded before, and I heard that after her and I did our thing, that's exactly what I picked up on in meditation, was that she was hugely important. So, you can go check out the review section on my website too. There's some good reviews on there. All right. So make sure you guys hit me up if you need any of that stuff done, and we'll get you scheduled in. So without further ado, here is Ron Weed. Hello, everybody. On today's episode, I have on a guest who has some out-of-this-world experiences. He has family who were specially recognized in the military, and also some family who were high-ranking members of Freemasonry. He is also host of the new podcast, The Imaginarium of Thought. Everybody welcome Ron Weed to the show. Hello, Ron. Sorry there is no more applause, audience, for my guest at the moment anyway, but we'll give a round of applause here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hello, Ron. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, so I'm doing good. Just chilling, taking it easy.
Yes. So today was very hectic for me, and I was extremely late for our conversation, but you were very kind the entire time when I kept having to push it back and push it back. So I am so thankful that you were still available. I had to get a new microphone set up. Everything was going crazy for me the last few weeks here, and it was just driving me nuts. So I had to get that settled. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that it sounds good. I was very hopeful for that. And now I'm so glad that you are so close to us, and you are the first one that gets to, have the best sounding conversation with me.
Awesome. It's an honor.
Well, no, it's an honor. Me and people anymore that are into being open-minded are being like, that is what I like above all. And when I have someone that I come across that has experiences that you have, that you openly speak about, then I'm like, okay, I want to talk to this guy, because that's how I am, is that I'm very open-minded, because I'm going to say some crazy stuff. So I have to be open-minded,
Yeah. And I feel like being open-minded is important. Sometimes the people who get into the most truths, go the deepest, are the most gullible. It's a trial and error,
Exactly. Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask you to clarify, but yeah, that's perfect. Trial by error, because you really got to try everything. And when you get stuck in something, when you have one type of thought, you don't recognize that you're stuck in a trap. But what I've been realizing anymore is everything is a trap. It really is. And lately in my meditations, I've been like having seeds being poured out of me, and it looks like there's all these different mazes within my body, and like everywhere I turn to, it's a trap here, trap there, trap there. And I'm just like, man, I don't need none of that. So then I like get this static energy off of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel it's we're locked in like a static box, like you're saying, like I really think like the world is kind of cubed.
Okay.
Like I feel like reality is cubed. I don't know if you've played like those like golf video games before.
What, like the virtual ones where you're golfing?
Video games.
Yeah, but like what kind? Like a virtual one where you're doing the hand motions like the Wii, or just like a regular video game on like Xbox?
Regular video game.
Oh, okay.
And how they have it kind of gridded, like I'm trying. Sorry, I guess
like rendering.
Yeah, a rendering. Like sometimes when you see like in virtual reality worlds, when it's first laid out, it's just a bunch of square, lines,
Blueprints. Yeah.
blueprints. Because
That's the astral world.
yeah, because we're this everything when we really think about it is kind of we think about how there's like four north, south, east, west, water, fire, earth, air and stuff like that. Oh, I hear a little static, sorry. But
all right. So like there's some kind of cube in front of our faces that when we walk around, it's like if we have borders up.
Yeah, all around us too. Like that's why they say sometimes when you sorry, I got like a bunch of like static going in my ears, kind of making it hard.
Is that for me?
I think it's me. No, this is I never got a new.
Does that sound better?
Oh yeah, it sounds way better.
Okay.
Or no, it's still doing it. It's probably my headphones. Sorry. Get into it, but it's like how even though you're looking like how everything is cut off. Like you have the front, you have the back, you have above, and you have below.
Okay.
Like no matter what it is and what shape, because even when you like a triangle, for instance, right? Like a 2D triangle. If you were to look at it in space, even though it is a triangle, it still has a left side, no matter how flat it'll be, it still has that side to it. That's like you're not seeing it, but it's still there type instance, like
Okay.
that goes with the remote viewing and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like even though you don't see that space, that space still exists outside of your rendering.
Right.
I guess I don't know. I guess I want to try. This is just a thought that popped in my head, and I guess I tried to run with it, see where that went.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So you have some. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, because it just got lower for me. But okay, so you have some great experiences that you've had in your life. Now, why don't you tell my audience a little bit about your background? About I said in the opening that you had family who were in the military and also family who were in the Freemasonry. Why don't you briefly, give a synopsis of your family and yourself and where you what you've been through?
Well, my Freemason relatives is my grandfather and my great grandfather. I didn't really know them because they were they weren't really a part of my dad's life too much, I guess. But it's something I found out when I was looking at ancestry.com, and and I noticed they were up there in the lodge in Philadelphia and stuff like that.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, and I started looking into the his background, and it seems to be families from those parts of Britain where they'd have probably Cthulhu type village cults and stuff like that back in the day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I'm just theorizing. I'm just
okay,
I don't know,
okay.
but you know what I mean. Like the there are stuff like that, like water. The Dagon, the fish gods.
Yeah, the Dogons.
Dogons, yeah.
Yeah, from Africa.
Mm-hmm. And even because that's something I was talking about before is we know less about the ocean than we do about outer space.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, well, outer space isn't even real. Everything they say about that is like completely fake anyway.
Yeah, so I think what that is they're distracting us from the fact that I feel like the whole firmament thing, the water is above and the water is below. I think we're kind of like in worlds within worlds type setup.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if you've seen underwater lakes before.
So I'm familiar with the concept. I've seen like underwater caves where it's like completely dry, and then they have their own little reservoir. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's in parts of the ocean. There's like underwater. There's lakes, like bodies of water underwater.
Yeah, like there's a dry zone and then there's a lake.
Oh no, it's an actual it's water within water.
Oh,
Like,
okay. I'm not familiar
it's
with
just
this.
the density or the something
Okay.
the way it's, and you can see little worms and things like that coming out of it. But supposedly we can't go through that. And
Oh, wow.
it makes me think these a lot of UFOs, yeah, wormholes.
Wait, is that eels? Is that where eels come from?
Wormholes, probably. Probably.
Oh, no, the worms. Are they the worms that are coming from these wormholes?
I don't know. Probably.
No, I don't.
Come out of nowhere.
Oh man, so I
know.
bet there's one off the coast of South Carolina.
But we think about it like with the I guess I went off into another thing, but I was just thinking, with the giant squids, like that was always a myth, like until they started catching them and stuff like that. And it makes me think like squids are smaller than octopuses. What if there's giant octopuses down there, basically like a
Right.
Cthulhu?
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there's all kinds of freaky shit down there.
And a lot of UFOs, they're seen going in the water.
Right.
So there could be Atlantis. We think Atlantis is just underwater ruins. Atlantis could still be, there. It's just they went deep into the ocean, and however, with their technology, we're able to basically build a world within the ocean.
I think that Atlantis anymore, what I've been getting is that Atlantis was North America and its headquarters was in where the Gulf of Mexico is now. And, that's kind of what I've been getting, that the Gulf of Mexico is the part that sunk because there was some kind of technology or some kind of meteor, comet, something came down because of what they were doing and boom, put a hole there. And
oh yeah, sorry, I was just I was just theorizing, kind of like maybe that's what it is. They're distracting us with space, and the real stuff is down in the ocean.
Yeah, very well could be. Yeah.
Like they talk about the beast rising out of the water and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Leviathan.
Yeah. So
Leviathan, yeah.
I have a feeling that's probably where a lot of the big truths are, is down there.
Yeah. What were you saying, Mimi?
I was trying to think of that movie that we watched where it was, I don't know, was it a squid or an octopus? That was like.
It was kind of, when they were communicating in that weird language. Yeah, and I've been getting a lot.
And that would be like alien-ish. Yeah. So at the same time.
Yeah, Contact, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've been getting a lot lately about like a squid that was on someone's brain that was maybe on my brain, but it wasn't really me. I was meditating, and there was a squid with its hands all over. And Mimi's been, someone told us about the show called Squid Game, and then and Mimi watched it, and now we've been like seeing that there's Squid Game 2, and like we never heard of it before 3 days ago, and now it's been in our face for the last 3 days, like squid everywhere. It's like what's going on with squids?
Sure.
And now you're talking about squids,
And I think that too is a lot of that Hunger Games, like they're
I was just gonna say that I'm not only is it just like a squid reference, but it's always the rich versus the poor, or the best versus the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So so why don't we get back to, so it's very weird when you find out your family was Freemasons. Mimi just found out recently she had family that was. I found out not too long ago that my family was. It's a very weird thing because you're like, well, they did some really messed up stuff in order to get in order to get to certain levels, you have to do some messed up things. So
oh yeah, well, I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything, because my my uncle and cousins and stuff, I don't want to, but
well, I'm just saying it's a weird place as being the conspiracy theorist.
That's true. Yeah.
And what we hear, and then you're like, well, it's a weird place to be in.
I feel the same way that Ron does. I feel like you don't know until you know, and if you don't know, then you can't really say that you do know. You
I
weren't
think
there doing sacrifices, so you don't really know that happens. You just hear that that's what happens. You don't really know.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's a weird place.
Yeah.
But what makes that weird is
What's weird?
On top of I've been mistaken for a Freemason multiple times in my life. Like
really?
Yeah, like once I was downtown and some dude comes running up or whatever, and he goes, "Do you know the widow's son?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Like he's like, and he just runs off. And then another time was with I do like pools and stuff. I met some other guy who did the pool stuff, and he comes up and kind of like shakes my hand, and he kind of like leans in and he goes, "Do you know the widow's son?" Like whispers that in my ear.
Wow, two different separate people asked you the same question.
Yeah, and
that's a little weird.
And I'm like
in Savannah.
Yeah, it was in Savannah both times. And
oh yeah, let's look up widow's son. What's a widow's son?
It's their distress call saying. It's supposed to be like what they say when they need aid.
And they both came to you saying they
possibly
needed aid.
Yeah, and it's because I was confused, right? And so I go and look it up, and that's what it is. And I there's one interesting story about it. Some soldiers were on a beach in World War II, and a German U-boat. They saw them on the shore or whatever, but they were doing because there's like a whole thing they do with their hands, like as they say it, they do something with their hands. I can't remember how they do it, but the German U-boat captain was a Freemason, and he noticed that it was the Freemason distress call. So they just turned around. They let the Americans survive. They didn't fire on him because he realized that they're both, even though they're on
Freemasonry takes precedence.
Even though they're on opposing sides in the war.
So was this guy you said it was your coworker?
No, he was some guy who was a part of another pool company.
Have you run into him again?
Oh, no.
So why do you think that they thought you were a Freemason?
I guess it's
they probably know
maybe there's a way I hold myself or something like that, that's kind of.
Do you do certain hand gestures
unknowingly? Maybe I used to kind of like stand certain ways or something like that. I started becoming more conscious of it, but so that goes back into high school. I was approached by a Freemason, or he claimed to be a Freemason, and he showed me that number thing that I was showing you and everything like that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, yeah.
And that's where it's like, on top of this Freemason stuff I found out with my family, I had all this interactions with Freemason stuff throughout my life.
Yeah, well, I got a letter when I was 14 that asked me to be part of the Freemasons, and I had known about this because I was, this was right around about 3 years after 9/11, so it was about 2004. So I had gotten into, the loose change and 9/11 conspiracy theories. Like, I guess I was always into the 9 wonders of the world, the pyramids and Bigfoot and cryptids as a child and all that. But so I always had like an out there type of thought process. But I did get that letter and I was like, oh, this is bullshit, and I just throw it out. But then I've had a lot of things happen since where I was like, well, was that, was I being messed with because the police and the teachers, the people who would be part of Freemasonry, who are white men who would be cops and teachers, are they all targeting me because me and my friends because we were somehow rejected their group? It's a very weird thing to think about, that there's maybe some kind of secret society in your town that are colluding against you. And anyone you can call me paranoid or whatever, but the Freemasons and where I'm from share the same hall as the Methodist Church. And it's a very weird thing that I was baptized into the Methodist Church, and then I have someone in my family who helped start the town of Prospect Park. But before the town was called Prospect Park, it was
Wow.
called Moore. It was called Moore, and
Really?
the Moorish people.
Yeah.
So it's what has actually been happening. Something that I'm not clued in on, but I figured things out on my own. I put the clues together that things turned out the way they did for reasons. So even though it sounds weird, you're saying that two guys approached you, or maybe more. You were saying it is a very odd thing, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that they were under the impression, or maybe they were explicitly told to do this in order to get you to question something, to maybe go to the local chapter or whatever. There was maybe some kind of reason why they were reaching out to you.
Could be with you too. It's they notice, the whole thing with light, maybe they noticed there was a light, and they're trying to groom individuals who have this and kind of indoctrinate them into their system.
Yeah. Well, the letter that they sent me when I was 14 explicitly said that if I were to join them, it said that they took notice and how well I was doing at school, how intelligent I was, and how good at sports that I was, and that I could become this, this leadership role, and they would help me get to where I wanted to be. But if I rejected them, that my life would go to shit. That's it was pretty explicit in how it went.
That's what it said.
It didn't say go to shit, but it said you will, we will see to it that you don't have, things go your way. However, I'm just paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. And little did I know, I became a drug addict for the next 10 years, pretty much. So that was the summer after I graduated 8th grade. That's when I got that. And from pretty much then on is when I became a drug addict. The next 10 years, I ended up in prison and burglarizing pharmacies because, the next 10 years of my life were shit after I rejected them. So does one have to do with the other? I saw a UFO around that time as well, and my friends didn't remember seeing it, which was very weird, because they were the ones that told me to look up, and then I saw it, and then they didn't remember 2 days later. Very weird.
I think a lot of people who have paranormal experiences will block them out of their minds, like to protect their reality.
Absolutely.
Like they're trying. I've known plenty of people who have told me paranormal things, but you try to bring it up to them, they're like, that never happened. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about that. But in reality, they're just, if they give it thought, they'll have to start accepting it as reality, and that kind of breaks that seal open, starts flooding, starts letting the truth in, and it hurts. The truth hurts.
And there's also different things like the Men in Black type thing, you hit the pen and it flashes, like that type of thing happens. And when I've meditated, I've gotten in touch with my psyche. When I did all these psychedelics and did all this super intense meditations, what that did for me was I recovered memories that were lost in my mind, that were causing these seeds of doubt and fear and shame and guilt. And I saw that one time, this was several times, but I saw this in my meditation one time, that there was this ship that was huge. It was several football fields long, and there were people attached to the wall by hands and feet, cuffed to the wall, hands and feet all across the floor. And then there was another level, and then there was another level, and then there was another level. So there was 4 different levels of people, and it was everybody I knew in the town. That I'm walking with some being an insectoid, what are they called, the praying mantis beings. I was walking with one of them and a human, probably a Nazi, that type of look, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, white skin. They were always together, and with the grays as well, but the grays would just like kind of take you there, and the humans and insectoids would take over. So I remember walking down the ship and seeing everybody in my town, and they're all screaming like bloody murder, and like
Wow.
they hated whatever was going on. And we have the secret space program and the 20 and back. I don't know exactly how real it is, if Corey Good is actually putting out completely good information about that, but there is something to that effect that is happening for sure.
Yeah, I've kind of lost my little faith in Corey Good and Dave Wilcock and them. But it relates because of my dad and things I've experienced and communicated with him. That kind of makes it gives what they're saying a little bit of credence.
Right. That's why I got in. Once they were talking about that type of stuff, I was like, oh, I know this is real. I've experienced this. But then everybody has that controlled opposition type of feel where when you get to be a certain level that you're given good information, but then you're given bad information. So you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and then that goes with everything, taking everything with a grain of salt. Keep an open perspective, because that way you never know when that inspiration hits you,
Exactly.
about certain things. But
so do you want to get into your dad was in the military? What branch of the military was he in?
The Navy.
Okay, and he had some kind of special a send off, if you will, that wasn't typical. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
So during his funeral, instead of the protocol of one flag per deceased veteran, and I've looked this up because I've been trying to get an explanation for it, they presented 2 flags.
Do you remember what the second flag looked like?
It's the same. It was up on the they had it like a little tripod thing. They kind of had it up there already, like folded up.
So an American flag?
Yeah, American flag. And it was already up there, folded up.
Okay, and he was presented 2 American flags.
And it was the funeral lady came up and she was like, "Who's the flag gonna go to?" So we picked my youngest sister, and then they did the service. They folded up the flag and everything like that, and they walked over to my mom, and they gave her the first flag. And then he gets up and turns around and goes and picks up the flag that was on the tripod. Sorry.
You're cool.
And then he walks over, and my mom was in the front row and I'm behind her in the second row. So he walks over to my sister, who's to my left, and he kneels down, says the words again on behalf of the President of the United States and the Navy, blah, 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 here, the flag. And when he gets up, and I'm, I didn't see it at first, but when he gets up and I look at, his stuff, because I'm, having dad in the military, I've kind of known, have interest in that kind of stuff. And I noticed a seal and a trident on his shirt, and signifying he's a Navy SEAL. And that's like you can't, mistaken that. That's and my dad wasn't a Navy SEAL.
So he was just in the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, he was in naval intelligence and stuff like that, but he was never a Navy SEAL. And he actually personally told me he rang the bell because he went to try out, but went through Hell Week and everything like that, and was pretty much towards the end, and he rang the bell. There's like a story behind that, but
what does that mean?
That means you quit.
Okay.
That's like their system. You ring that bell tough when you're leaving. Yeah. Okay. And they were like, you could come back, try again next time, and you don't have to go through Hell Week and stuff like that. That happens sometimes.
Okay.
And but that he said that actually led him to the other things that he got into. But he would tell me things, but he never really disclosed too much info. Because one time he was like, if you want to know some real stuff about that, he's like, join the military, get on one of these teams, and then we can talk.
Okay. So your father was very highly looked upon by many individuals, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, he was just inspirational guy. Like he was a good swim coach and everything like that. And there's a story because he's a level 5 because he's had like so many kids win championships and things like that,
Okay.
And one of the other swim coaches like, what's the secret? What is he doing to these kids? And my dad goes, oh, doesn't everyone know the secret? Steroids. Just joking.
Right.
But what he would do is he'd pep talk them, right before they'd go out there to swim. He'd hype them up, come on, he'd
Right.
fire them up, get them going.
Yeah, I was a
And-
coach, so there's so many different things that go into why you can turn around a team really quick. I know a good coach will find out what the team needs and he'll give it to them.
Yeah. And so he was just like that with a bunch of different things. But something he told me a long time ago, and I never really got it till recently, is he said he wasn't the best guy. He was the right guy when it came to that kind of stuff. That's like the thing. But yeah, so that was pretty extreme. But what makes that more extreme is going into my story with my paranormal experience and stuff like that.
Well, before you get into that, I want to ask one more question about
Mhm.
the flag. So when it was presented, was it presented in a way where it was one person presented one and then the next person presented the other, or was it presented together and maybe they didn't know that they were presenting two and we're only supposed to?
There was two guys there. The guy that presented the flag was the SEAL guy, and he presented both of them.
Okay, so the same
Mhm.
person, this was Navy SEAL,
Mhm.
it was a different branch, was presenting this. So what did
My dad, Navy SEAL is like the special forces of the Navy.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what did that amongst your family, what kind of things did you talk about? Did you find out anything from your mother that maybe you didn't know? Was there some kind of secret missions that he was running? Is something to this effect?
I think it's one of those kind of things. It's like you do things and there's no he might have been a part of things that you don't get rewards for. There's no
Okay.
It's like you could go and do something and no one will ever know about it. You can't ever tell anybody that you did these things.
Okay.
type, maybe he did stuff like that.
So now you're about to tell us where you think that maybe the possibility comes into play with your experiences and what your dad may have been up to, right? So why don't you get into your experiences a little bit?
Something actually I thought about today as before coming on the show is I don't know if you ever remembered your first thought.
I remember my first memory, not my first
Mhm.
thought.
I do not.
Yeah, that's
Your first, like your realization that you're alive. Like you never had that.
Nope. Not that I remember.
This is
Wow.
my first memory, and I can't really remember it. But basically, my first memory is I'm looking up, and it's like a color. I'm in like this colorful tunnel, and I'm looking up at like this hole in the air or something, and there's a lady there, and I remember some, but I don't remember all of it. But she goes, "I'll see you when you get back," type thing like that, like I'll see you when you get back, and I let go or something. I start to fall. It's like everything around me is like a tie dye, or it's just all colorful, weird, colorful tunnel or something like that, like in the Contact movie or whatever, where they're going through the tunnel at the end. And I just start falling in this tunnel, and I'm trying to hang on to the memory of what was I just left, and the memory starts fading from me, and that's all I can
amazed that
remember.
you held on to that much.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like I couldn't remember exactly what was up there and all.
How
all
long
the
have you
details to it.
remembered this? Your whole life?
That was my first. That was my
So
realization.
you've
I was
always
alive.
held on to that. Whenever you wanted to think of that, you could.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
incredible.
I'm laying. I'm on a couch, right, and I'm looking up, and I realize I'm alive, and I'm like, I'm alive, and I jump up, and I look over, and my brother and my cousin were there, and they're like, "What are you doing? Get off the couch," because we're taking turns jumping over the couch or whatever. And I'm like, "You're my brother. You're my cousin." And they're like, "Duh." And then I'm like,
How old were
Wow.
you?
I'm alive. 4 years old.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the moment you were born.
Well, it sounds like
Oh, no.
he remembered a piece of both. That's what it sounds like.
Or maybe it's
Yeah.
like he just
A
woke up.
piece of, but yeah, it's
That-
like you
yeah, I had
remembered
a-
one thing and then you
mhm.
remembered the rest of it.
So maybe
Yeah.
that you don't have any memories because maybe you were put into a 4-year-old's body and that everyone else was already programmed and ready to go. And so when you had the realization that you're my brother, you're my cousin, like, yeah, what else will we be? Like, because
Yeah.
they were always programmed to only be that.
Hmm.
Wow. Because so my first memory is actually of a dream that I had when I was, so my memory is when I was 4, I had this dream that I was 2 and I could ride a 2-wheel bicycle. And it was this tiny little bicycle that was like red and white and like it was kind of like pinkish because the red, faded into pink. And then when I became like 5 years old or maybe 6 or 7, it was after I had this dream is that that happened. It was deja vu, and it turns out that was my first memory, and the dream was when I was 2 though. So it was like a super weird time loop that happened there. But yeah, that's my first memory.
Ron's story
Wow.
kind of explains like why everybody's so freaked out about falling. Like in your nightmares, usually the worst nightmares, like you're falling and you have to get up. He remembers falling.
Snapping into
Are you afraid of
your-
heights?
I'm not afraid of heights, but I do get that creepy feeling when you like look over the edge.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm super afraid
That's
of
me. I
heights.
don't like to look over the
Yeah,
edge.
it's looking at me. And I always say it's because I was a fallen angel, so I fell. And last time I was up high and I looked down, I fell. So now I don't want to look down because
He's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
not.
fell into hell.
It's not like a being afraid of heights. It is looking down. It is that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, so you have some pretty incredible thoughts here. We've been in for about a half hour now, and we touch on a range of topics, and you have a super interesting perspective on life. So I'm glad to be able to talk to you about this. So now you were saying, so you were saying that as an aside to what you're about to get into now with your alien type of experiences, correct?
Yep. And also the other, but I guess I'll get into it with the number stuff because it all kind of links back.
That's in my notes. Go back to the numbers.
But a lot of people say when they with this whole deal with the devil stuff, like I'm sure it happens some way where people are like doing a ritual and they're trying to contact these entities and stuff like that.
Right.
But I feel like sometimes too, like maybe with this Eisenhower program, it just happens. Like, or there's a lot of theories. It might not have been that a deal with the devil thing. It might have been, them abducting us, and I just woke up during the abduction or something.
That's interesting. So when you were 4, you're saying is.
Oh no, this is when I was 12 years old.
Oh, okay. So we're off of that experience. Okay. So sorry, I kind of messed
Oh
that up.
yeah,
Okay.
that's just that's because that's like because when I think about this stuff with the because I've hearing about the star seed stuff and all this different kind of things, it makes me remember that because that's the one thing I can remember is the lady saying goodbye. She said it as if like it's not going to be a long time. When I've basically been a human being living throughout my life, but as she was saying, it was like you'll be back in no time. What I mean?
To them,
like,
it probably is no time.
It probably is no time. Yeah, these it's like a whole lifetime to us is like a day to them, or you know, or
Right.
whatever, you know.
Like Inception. The deeper you go into
Mhm.
the dream, the slower time moves.
Oh, really? But yeah, and but for me it just happened randomly one night. I woke up and but to tell the story, I'm on the top bunk. My older brother's in the bunk below me, and then across the room is my younger brother, and then there's the window is by him. And so I wake up and everything is like a bright green light, like a bright neon green light, like this weird. It was coming from the window and it illuminated the whole room. And when I first woke up, I was tired. You know, like how when you're a kid, you kind of half wake up and you're like, I don't want to deal with it. And you just try to go back to sleep, you know?
Yeah. Rubbing your
And
eyes.
yeah, you're like, I'm like, I don't care enough, you know? So I try to go back to sleep, even though that's weird, right? Your room is green and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm not thinking anything paranormal, you know? I'm just
Right.
like, I'm thinking like, this is whatever, something's happening.
Yeah, like I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah, so I just try to go back to sleep, but then, you know, it's bright, but the light starts pulsing.
Okay.
So now I get upset, and I get up. I'm like, what is that? You know, people are sleeping and stuff like that, you know. And for some reason, I was thinking it's like construction work. They're doing construction work or something like that outside.
Now, was this in Pennsylvania?
No, this is in Savannah.
Savannah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so I get down and I go to my brother. I look at my two brothers. I'm like, hey, you guys, hey, you guys, wake up, you know, kind of thing. But they looked like they were like frozen. Like I could tell they were alive, but they looked like they were frozen at the same time.
And so your two brothers you're talking about look frozen? Okay, so this is going to be so that just brings me, sorry, my third eye is seeing that the green is kind of that it's a green screen, that
Green
color
screen,
green.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know what you said when you first popped in your first memory, and I said, oh, maybe they're NPCs, they were always like that, and now you're saying that they were frozen. You know, that's kind of making me think that this is all related.
A simulation. They like paused the program or something.
Yeah, they paused the program, and you were supposed to be asleep, and you saw Santa Claus putting the presents under the tree, essentially.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. That and so I get up and I go to the window to peek through the blinds to see what's going on. But at this point, I'm not thinking anything paranormal. I'm thinking it's just there's a logical explanation for it, even as weird as the stuff I've just said, you know. And
were you into paranormal stuff as a kid like that?
I watched Ghost and things, and you know, I knew about like Tai Chi and stuff, but never like reptilians and things.
Okay.
But so when I go to touch the blind, and as soon as I touch the blind to pull it down, I get a like a jump scare in my brain of a gray alien, and it's just staring at me through the window.
Yeah, I'm saying it right now.
So I lock up because I'm, you know, like a goat, because I fainted. I've had experience, but I was so scared. I basically locked up and I fell backwards, like on my butt. And then from there, that's when I'm realizing something ain't right. Like this is okay. Now something's messed up. This isn't normal.
You'd be like traumatized.
Yeah. And so I get up and I stand still, and I'm shaking. I'm so scared. I'm shaking, you know. And you know, the whole runner
fight or flight.
So I'm thinking run upstairs, wake up my dad. But then I started having like thoughts of there's a bunch of bigger gray aliens throughout the house, and they're just waiting for me to come out my room to snatch me up or something. And so I just stood there. I just stood still. I didn't know what else to do. So I just kind of stood there. And then I started getting like thoughts, and I started realizing the thoughts were like communication. And and whatever was talking to me, it might have been one of those mantis ones, because I heard those are real psychic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it started communicating with me, and basically, because I'm so scared, I can't really remember things. They're saying things to me, but in my head, it's just all jumbled up. So, that's why I can only remember what I can. And but it was basically like telling me, calm down. You're lucky. I got these dogs. Sorry.
No worries.
But they're like, you're kind of, chosen. This is kind of a lucky thing. You're special. They were calling me something with an M, but I can't remember.
Recall it.
Yeah, it's something, but I know it started with an M, and they were kind of laughing about it, like maybe that they whatever chose this body or whatever. But they were kind of like laughing. They thought it was humorous. And but they were basically like, yeah, just go with us and we'll guide you throughout life. We'll like basically what you're saying, like we'll set you up, we'll put you in a position of power. And as a kid, I was excited.
So some kind of messiah is what they were trying to tell you.
They were trying to build that up in my head or something like that. And so I said, yeah, I thought I won the lottery. I felt great, I'm like, sure, let's go. Make me this guy, show me what I need to know. But they're like, before we go, you have to make a choice. And that's when I'm standing there, and my older brother's to the left and my younger brother's to the right, and the room stretches out like that, like you're on acid or something.
Yeah.
And
I've seen this when I go to sleep. Sometimes it's like the room just gets real long. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And the way this communication was, it's like a lot of it isn't really words, it's understandings.
Yeah. It's telepathic.
Yeah. Sometimes things don't need to be said, it's just understood.
Right.
And I got where they were kind of going, and I said no. That's when I refused, and my older brother, and it goes with the whole Moloch and the first child and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
My older brother is diabetic. So for a moment, like a split moment, it popped in my head, well, who knows how long he has, because he could, it's easier for him to die,
Right, and they're projecting thoughts into your head already before this. So do you think this was a natural occurring thought, or maybe something they led you to think?
Yeah, well, because I tried when I first started communicating with them, I tried to, when they'd say things, I tried to like form it in my head what I'm going to, but they were like pretty much like, you can't hide.
They're already in there. Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
It's it's not your free will what they get to see once you're connected. Correct. Yeah.
It's like at that point you have to speak from the heart.
Well, before we go any further, I'll tell you I've been connecting with these exact beings ever since you started saying it. Once you said I saw your memory of you opening the blinds, seeing him at the window, locking up, and then thinking there were larger ones in your house, and I saw them walking. There was one on the steps and one in the hallway when you sat back down, and I've been connecting with them, and they are somewhere right now doing something similar. And it's I'm imagining that their heads are being ripped open, and that like basically they're being pulled apart. It was just something that I was kind of seeing and imagining at the moment, that some of them, their heads were exploding. I was using the power of Christ's name. This is all very intense that's happening to me right now. So I'm not putting on anything for anybody listening or for yourself.
I feel it. Yeah.
This is something that is very, very real that's happening right now. So go ahead, you can keep going. This is incredible.
But so I deny him, right? And they're like, what do you, but they go in that, but to put into that, because it's kind of important, they were basically showing me as in the future I'm wearing trench coats, I'm like this, like a Grinch, like the Grinch kind of thing.
Okay.
And I'm doing all these good things for people. I'm buying presents. When I show up at the party, everyone's cheering me, right? But they kind of put in make it noticeable that my older brother's not there. And it's kind of like, look at what you could do, which is, it's just, like kind of like, and I think this, what they do is they do a blasphemy on things from the Bible. This is kind of like a blasphemy on the killing the kid, or, when entities, it says
Sacrificing the first child.
Yeah.
the first
sacrificing the
son.
first child.
Yeah.
It's like a blasphemy on that. And, but I said, no, I'm not going to, and they said, they're kind of like, what, come on, why aren't you, going to do this? And I said, because it's not what God would want. And, that's when they went in, they're like, who's God? They're like, what's God? What the, why isn't God here talking to you and saying anything to you, And they're like, maybe it's because we're God. And going into that, I can see if other people were in my position, and they'd be like, thinking logically, you'd be like, wow, there is no God. You are the gods, because look what you're doing right now. Look what's happening in my existence. I guess there is no God. And these entities are the masters of the universe. But something in me was like, I don't know, it was just like, I'm not gonna, it's like this weird thing that, I'm because you're speaking from the heart, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go through with this. So I yell, I'm like, you're not God. I was like, God is good and he's more powerful than you. That's what I said. God is good and he's more powerful
And he gave you
than
the
you.
strength to say that.
Yeah. And I yelled at them. And that's when their charming attitude, they're like, you dumbass kid, kind of like what you're saying with the letter from the Freemason. That's what it reminded me of. It brought that up, where they're kind of like, now they're kind of like, you
crossed us now.
Yeah, you're a nobody. Your life is going to be a mess. We're going to ensure you're always going to struggle, and nobody's going to believe you. Stuff like that.
I believe you. I'll tell you that. 'Cause I'm seeing it. I'm seeing your memories. This is how my third eye works. I've talked about this in many different episodes where people are talking to me. Other psychics are telling me what they psychically see, and I see it and explain it to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, how do you see that?" I have this uncanny ability to see other people's memories and sights, and what I'm experiencing right now is that I'm clearing out these memories, but that these beings are still actually existing. Well, I'm not clearing it out. God is clearing it out through our conversation. And I want the audience really to understand the message behind what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is they told you, which is the original sin, ye shall be like gods. They were telling you, you can be like a god because we're like God, and there is no God. If God was so good, where is he now? Why wouldn't he be here? So it's always the deception. It's always the lie that you can become God. And Mimi just got the chills when I said that, which is, the chillometer is going off.
The lie detector, or the truth detector.
The truth detector, yeah. So this is a hugely important story, and I want to really commend you for having that acumen of doing that at 12 years old. Now, have you ever talked to your brother about this, or brothers?
Oh yeah. I've talked to my younger brother. My older brother is pretty skeptical.
I'd be like, I saved your life, man.
Right.
He's told
so
me
your
some
older
stuff.
brother's the one who they were talking about, right?
Yeah, my older brother.
And he's skeptical about it?
Yeah, he's told me one time, one of his ghost stories, he woke up and he was real frightened, and whenever I woke up, he was like, Ron. He's like, you're okay. He's like, or he was like really scared. And he told me what it was is he woke up because I'm on the top bunk, right? But he said he woke up and he looked and he said he saw some feet hanging, like a woman in a white dress. And he said he could see blood dripping down her feet. And she was the way she was, because he's in the bottom bunk. He said it looked like she's.
And how old were you guys?
I guess this would have been probably before my experience or something.
Okay.
I'm guessing, but he said it looked like she was floating in the air watching me sleep.
And this
And
was
then-
in the city of Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah. And then he said, whenever I guess maybe it noticed him, and he said it sunk into the corner of the room and disappeared into the shadow, like the corner of the room, like the dark corner. And said it went like real quick and disappeared into the shadow of the room.
Can I ask you a question? What part of Savannah did you live in at that time? Which area? You know.
Sandfly,
Okay.
over by Isle of Hope,
Okay.
near the marsh.
Just curious.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Savannah, anyone listening, Savannah is like one of the most haunted cities in America.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't actually hear much from that area. So that's new.
Yeah. And too, the neighborhood I was in was like pretty packed and compact. The houses are only like,
Right. They are like suburbs over there.
yeah, right packed in. So the fact that this is happening really blew my mind, because it's like maybe it wasn't necessarily like a spaceship float. It could have been like a spaceship floating over and they're doing like the big beam or something, but the light was coming from the window. So maybe it was, they just put me in, I guess that's why everything is kind of boxed. They can maybe just,
Hit everybody all at once.
Yeah. They don't have to enter through the whole house. They can just lock in your room and then enter from through that box.
That's interesting.
Maybe that's what that's why with the Tartaria stuff, with the structures are all big and open and vast, and because it opens your mind when you're in there. It's expanded, right. Like when you're in a big ballroom,
right?
That's like events and stuff. But I feel like that's why they started boxing the architecture.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Interesting point.
Mm-hmm. To keep people's minds boxed, keep their energy boxed.
Yeah, I've had that thought myself. Yeah, that's very interesting. So these were grays, right? You were saying that
yeah, the first one, and I didn't really see it. It was like as soon as I went to, it was just in my mind. It was weird, but
right.
But it looked like what you would think they look like, but smaller. It would have been 3 feet-ish or so, like
right.
And it looked, the big bulbous head where it's kind of, veiny at the top,
Did you ever see Mars Attacks?
Not like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, but it was just like, you could see the veins through someone's forehead sometimes, when the blood's really pumping. But
that's how they look at Mars Attacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But the brain. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But not exactly like that. But
okay.
So after I deny him, I get a vision, like I'm kind of like taken out of my mind again, and I see a galaxy, and it was spinning one way. I think it was spinning one way. I can't remember exactly the way, but it was spinning one direction, and it was a orange red color. And then it stopped and started spinning the other way, and then it turned into a dark blue color thing.
Okay, so that went from the lower chakras to the higher chakras. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I realized that later. I was thinking with the room being green as well. We were at the heart chakra. They
they started at the middle.
Mm-hmm, because
and then they lowered and then went back up. Okay.
Lady in white.
Oh no, I was during the experience, because it was you have to speak from the heart. That's why you can't have alternate thoughts, and everything has to be pure at that point.
Right.
Because you can't you're sharing minds. There's no.
Yes, I'm very familiar. This is an ability I have, and I can't really
turn it off.
Yeah, nobody knows that they're doing it with me for the most part. Some people do, but it's always like that with me. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, because that is how you communicate with animals. When you look at your pet, when they want to go out, when they want something to eat, when they just want to be with you. Because you can just know, because that's how we just know things. We just have the ability to speak, and we choose not to know things. We choose to say things, and we choose to lie a lot. So when we feel something, when someone else feels something from us, and our words don't match it, but we're like, oh, well, yeah, your energy shit. I don't care that you're saying nice words. I don't want to be near you, you know? So that's exactly what they do, as you're saying. And they don't even try to attempt to move their mouth because they know, you know, and then you just know. So
Yeah, you just know. Yeah, it's not, there is some words, but it's mostly just, you know, it's just like that. Yeah.
right, yeah.
And but so when it turned purple, this galaxy thing, even though it didn't have a face, it felt like a smile. It felt happy, like the energy felt good. And I guess it's like kind of like the breaking the seven seals or something like that. I felt like I was protected now. Like they had me at the lower level where I'm more at the beast, primal or something, and like maybe that protected me. It gave me God's protection, or so, you know, he put that hedge of protection around me. And but even though I felt safe, like, okay, they can't hurt me, God's protecting me from them, I was still freaked out. And at the same time, I'm like, I want this to end. Like I wasn't having a, you know, and so I'm just dreaming. This is just a dream. I just gotta go back to sleep, and I'll wake up, it'll all go back to normal. So that's what I do. And people are like, how can you just go back to sleep? And it's like, what, I mean, really, what else am I going to do at that point? You know, I want it to stop. I'm just going to go to, you know, and hope it goes away. And so I get back into bed and curl up in a ball, of course. And I'm like, I'm not going to open my eyes for anything. I'm just going to keep them closed. I'm just going to stay asleep. But after a few moments, I get like that feeling like that where, you know, the whole thing with the cube, like something invades my space in a way. So I feel that, and I'm like, but you know, I can't help it now. I have to look, you know. And so I open my eyes.
He got in your head. He was like, hey, shut your eyes, but I'm still here.
So I open up and I look over, and I see it come in through the door, because there's a door at the foot of my bunk bed. The door's to the right, and it comes in, and like a soldier, it comes in, and then just like real creepily like turns, you know, like real direct, and it's basically like, hey kid, you know, come on, take this deal, come with us and stuff. What are you doing? And people are like, you're not freaking out and all that kind of stuff. But when it happened, I'm already like so terrified that when it happened, I couldn't get any more scared. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah,
I had already reached my.
I'm like tensed up over here just listening to you talk about it. I'm like, no. I don't want to know what happens next.
I was like
it's basically, it's a monster right in your face, literally.
But I'm already scared, so I was just kind of like, oh, what else now? You know, I'm like, whatever. I can't even get any more scared than I am now.
Yeah.
So it's saying that to me, but the thing is, I wanted to say is I watched your roundtable episode.
Right. Okay.
And
thanks for the support.
Oh yeah. I was actually watching your other storm worship in the storm before you had hit me back up.
Oh, awesome.
But they were mentioning about salamander, how the reptilians were actually salamander. I think that was Jim
Gary
Williamson.
Wayne. No, Gary Wayne said that. Yeah.
Oh, Gary. Yeah, and that made sense. I was like, oh, salamander. It kind of is, instead of reptilian, like you would think, like lizard, like an iguana or something like that. It was more of like a humanoid salamander.
So that's the one that walked right to you at the end?
That was the reptilian. So I just generalized it as reptilian, but when he said that, I was like, that makes more sense. It's more of a humanoid salamander than a humanoid reptile. So maybe, I don't know if there are like Dracos and the reptilians and stuff out there, but this one was, when he said that, I was like, that made
salamander. Okay.
Yeah.
So were you afraid? Did you have a basement firstly?
No.
No.
Okay. Oh yeah, right. So do you have an attic, or did you have an attic?
Yeah.
Okay. So were you afraid of the attic?
Not really, no.
Were you afraid of looking at your windows at night, or like
Mm-mm.
going out back
Um,
at your house at night?
Yeah, when I take out the trash and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
When I'm on the way back to the house, I get that creepy feeling like something's trying to get me, and I just
Like
mad
something's
dash.
watching you, maybe. Yeah.
Book it
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
door.
So I think a lot of people just chalk that off as, oh, kids are scared. But
Mhm.
I think it's something inherent in those who have experienced the abduction phenomena, in that
Kids are
we
easily preyed upon.
we know that it's in our subconscious that there's something out there watching us, and it might get us, and it comes at night. And the adults just chalk it off as, oh, someone's imagination, because they have no imagination. They couldn't
Yeah.
imagine that their children are being abducted. And you know, I really, because I was afraid of my windows, I was afraid of the out back, the backyard. I was afraid to be in the basement, especially the basement windows, because I felt like all the time they were coming down and they were looking down in the basement, looking at me. Like,
No.
it was just not a good feeling at all. And
Yeah.
I don't think that we're terrified of the dark just because, we're children. Because there are plenty of children that aren't afraid of the dark at all. And it's not because they're more brave than these children. Obviously, well, maybe they are more brave, but maybe they just haven't experienced what these other children are terrified. I mean, obviously that there's a traumatic event that makes someone act a certain way. When you're born and you have no experience, you're not just going to be terrified because it's dark all of a sudden. That's not just the thing that happens. There's something that causes the trauma that then makes you afraid of the dark. And what humanity has ignored is the abduction phenomena, and they chalk it off as up to imagination rather than what it actually is that there's something going on.
Yeah, and that's funny you mentioned that. It reminded me of I actually lived in a haunted house for a little bit. But
wow.
only three of me, my younger brother lived there too, and another good friend of mine. But there's 5 different people that lived there. 2 people never had any paranormal experiences.
Okay.
So, but and they're more of the closed-minded to this kind of stuff. So they weren't as receptive to the other, me
or
and the
maybe
other
they
2
just denied it. Maybe they did.
denied it.
They
Could have
just
been,
denied
yeah.
it, yeah.
And what area were you living this time around?
This was south side, near White Bluff.
Okay.
So what was this type of paranormal experience? Like, was dishes being thrown? What was happening?
What I experienced in my other but we would hear it was, this house had a lot. It actually used to be like the mayor's house, and it was all these different type of people that lived there. It was a law firm for a little while, but we would hear old-timey music. I guess we would hear old-timey music, and we'd hear it through the wall. It'd be vibrating, but when you go through to open the door, the inside of the house would be all quiet. And but one time, there was this long dark hallway and everything like that, and my one roommate, my one friend, he would actually go all the way through the living room just to avoid going down this hallway. But he went to use the bathroom one time, and when he came back from the bathroom, because he lived on the other side of the house where the bathroom was, he looked down the hallway and saw a lady in a white dress with dark curly hair walking down the hallway. So he thought it was just his girlfriend getting up to use the bathroom. But when he walked back into the room, she was in the bed, laying in the bed, and he got freaked out.
Well, what's with ladies in white dresses?
Yeah. But I walked through that hallway one time, and it was real dark, and I heard the old-timey music sound, and I could kind of like traces of like a party going on or something. And as I was walking, I felt curly hair brush against my face. And I'm like, it made me like stumble back a little bit. I'm like, what was that? But
so you said the first time you and someone else experienced both hearing it?
No, not at the same time, but at different times. Because I brought up, my younger brother was like, yeah, I would hear that old timey music playing, like coming out of the
Wow.
little disc vinyl record player thing,
Yeah, well, that
and
with like the horn shaped on
horn
the end.
shaped thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
If I saw a ghost in my bed, I would never
No,
sleep in it again.
his girlfriend was in the bed.
Oh,
yeah,
The
I thought you were saying
ghost.
the lady in white or the
No, he
ghost.
thought the
Okay,
lady in
okay.
white was the girlfriend, but then
Ah.
he walked in the bedroom and saw the girlfriend in
so-
bed.
I
yeah.
thought you said you saw the lady in white walking down the hallway and then you saw her in the bed. And I was like, I would never sleep in that bed again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after that, my skeptical brother who was over there, he was the living room. Like if you're kind of in the kitchen, you can kind of look down the hallway and then kind of look in the living room at the same time. And I kept noticing him kind of like peeking back into that hallway. And he goes, who else is here? I said, oh, it's just us. He said, I just saw a girl in a white dress walk out the back door.
Your brother said this?
Yeah, my
Oh, so
skeptical
he
brother.
saw the same person
Yeah.
as. Oh, wow.
And then me and my roommate, because we had just told each other about this, we look at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, did you hear what he just said? Like he just saw the lady with the curly hair.
Do you think that lady looked the same as the lady from the first story?
I didn't have any experience of that. That's just something he
Okay.
told me.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Well, because after the first story, I felt like that lady was protecting you. I don't know why she was bleeding, but I
I'm
know
getting
that
a yes
she
on
was
that right now.
protecting you
Yeah.
for some reason.
I'm getting a yes on
And
that.
I almost got that she was protecting you so that you could protect your brother later, which would make sense.
I'm getting a yes on that as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, makes
Wow.
sense. Yeah.
So maybe this lady follows you and just is sort of a protection for you. Maybe she is some sort of angel for you.
Yeah, the deepest I ever got into meditation was because I wanted to meet my spirit guide or something, and I got an outline of a lady
In a white dress?
That's it. No, not a white dress. It was like that color world. She was kind of like it was
Okay.
just a silhouette of color, like a silhouette
Patches.
of a female. Yeah, patch. Yeah,
Yeah, patches of color. All
patches.
Like the tunnel?
like that
like
color
that.
tunnel. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
So what I'm picking up on
That's what it is.
the music, it feels like stuck energy, like there was something stuck there.
Yeah, the word soiree
Pattern.
comes to mind when he was talking about the music, like they were having a little soiree.
Yeah.
It was stuck. Maybe it was something that they did a lot, or maybe something traumatic happened there that kept that energy stuck, but there was some kind of stuck energy. I don't think the lady in white had anything to do with that.
Right.
I think what Mimi was saying, I was getting big time yes that
It was like a traumatic event that happened during a party or something like that, and that it got imprinted into the wall. Yeah, I feel that because we looked it up. That house had a ton of history. It was like a big house and
It
everything.
doesn't even have to be that something bad happened there. It could be,
I think, well,
Good time.
what I'm suggesting that it would be something bad, because it would need to be something so strong to keep the energy stuck there. It would have to be, 90% of them are traumatic events that keep things stuck. There's very few really positive things that would get stuck, because we carry those things with us because we want those experiences. So that's all very interesting. So any more experiences at that home?
That was pretty much it there. Oh, no, actually, one time
there's
coming home, me and my other roommate, we were pulling in because we had a big parking lot kind of at the house, and we pull in, we're kind of looking at each other, and then we stop at the fence and we both look forward, and there's this huge owl, like right there on this little chain link, half-size chain link fence, and it was just sitting there, and then it does the thing where it turns its head around, and it looks at us.
What color was it?
It was a big owl. It was huge. Like it was dark colored.
Okay.
And or it might have been white actually, but its wingspan was like 6 feet wide. It was incredible.
So are you familiar with owls and their relation to the grays?
No.
Okay, I suggest you start looking into that and how often people who experience abductions with the grays also experience seeing large white owls. That's something that you should.
It's crazy because sometimes I'll I got owls around here. Sometimes I'll have
Mhm.
a certain thought happen, and then I'll just start hearing owls start
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
at the same time. I had one time I had a
Hawks.
weird
That's when
thought, and I had a bunch of I tried to figure out what my spirit animal was or something, and I got a vision of a raven. And one time I was thinking, just having a thinking about, I think it was about this number stuff, and out of nowhere, a whole murder of ravens and crows just came and
A
flew right.
murder.
Yeah,
That's
and they
weird.
all
I know.
they were just, a whole bunch of these crows were just like, right next to me as soon as I'm having this thought, and they just showed up, at that
Wow.
time,
Where like ravens, like the king of crows or
Well,
something.
they're like very loyal. If you started to feed them, they would consistently
Get up on
stick
that mic a
around.
little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what hawks? They're representative of like the blue avians. I don't know if you're familiar with those beings.
Oh yeah.
And the owls are with the grays. Also, they represent Moloch in a certain sense, and the Illuminati. That those big eyes, and there's a lot to it. But
But
this world isn't what we think it is.
oh yeah. But just to kind of, I was thinking, I forgot, I kind of left that reptile story. But what I did is when I was just like, okay, I don't care anymore, right? I'm so scared. I tried to go back to sleep again, and this time I'm like, I'm not opening my eyes up for anything. But as I was laying there with my eyes closed that second time, I started getting a vision of like humans, like kind of like in those Apollo movies, like where they're kind of like looking at it's a bunch of people looking at monitors and stuff. And I kept getting like visions of that, like humans were like monitoring it somehow, like, and it reminded me of a Wizard of Oz, how it was just some guy behind, he was making all this stuff happen, like, and it made me think maybe this was Project Bluebeam testing or stuff like that. Yeah,
that's interesting.
But but in the reptile, when it was there, it was like kind of a holograph. With my physical eyes, I couldn't see it, but with my third eye or whatever, I could make it out in perfect detail.
Well, that's how the astral world works. That's the fourth dimension. And
oh, really?
Yeah. So when we meditate, that's where we go to. When we dream, that's where we go to. When we have psychedelic trips, that's partially at least where we go to. That is the blueprint, as you were saying earlier. It's the rendering. It's the underlying, but we can't see it with our physical eyes, because as soon as we turn our heads, it's there, because the speed of light, that's what our eyes move, is the speed of light. So if we have our eyes closed and we're operating with our third eye, then we're operating at the speed of operation. So we're seeing it created right in front of our face, because we're seeing into the realm that underlays this fake realm.
Oh wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To that, yeah.
Yeah.
So getting, like but so I went.
So you went to sleep, and then that was it?
Yeah, I just I eventually, well, it was like kind of like one of those things where it's kind of like I just opened my eyes and I'm like, oh, I'm awake, I'm alive again, I'm like, it stopped, it's over. So I jump out of bed and I run into the into the kitchen, and my family's there, and I go, guys, last night some reptile and gray alien, they tried to offer a deal with the devil to me. They tried to get me to sell my soul and stuff like that.
How'd your family receive that?
They were like, you were just having a dream. That was just a dream, and
yeah, of course.
The only person that believed me was my dad.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and that's
let's get into that.
He comes back. So he we're picking up pizza, I think it was. We were gonna go get pizza.
Is this a few days later or
yeah,
that day?
a few days later, and we're in the parking lot, and he's like, hey, tell me everything that happened about your experience. Oh, sorry, my phone's at 10% battery. I gotta charge it up. But he goes, tell me everything that happened. And so I tell him the whole experience and stuff, and basically what I told you. And he's like, "Oh, that's good. That's and everything. It's good that you did that." And he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I believe in aliens too." He said his explanation is when you think about how how many animals and things like that there are on the earth, and then when you look out at this huge universe, supposedly, it's like, how can it be how can it just be us? How can there not be intelligent life out there? It's almost impossible that we're the only form of intelligent life in a way. But that was his opinion. And
and how long was he a naval intelligence officer at this point?
I think he was that for about 10, 11 years or something, but he's already been retired by this point.
So he's retired at this point. Okay.
And but he ended up telling me sorry, I gotta kind of like sit down because my charger is over here. But
No worries.
he he said one time him and these guys were looking over the space, and he said they were watching the space, and he said all of a sudden he saw like a flying saucer or whatever, like a UFO, rise up from the base real slow, and then just take off into space. And the guy who was like behind him, like 100 meters behind him, or 200 feet behind him, or something like that, like was telling him, hey, over the thing, hey, did you see that? And my dad told him, hey, I didn't see anything. And later on, when he got with the guy and they took off their mic, he's like, you did not see anything. He's like, if they come and ask you what you saw nothing. And he said that's what eventually happened. Is some guys in suits took them all and interviewed them, asked them what they saw out there and stuff, because
debriefed.
Yeah, their communication is being monitored. That's why he said I didn't see anything, because he knew that they were listening in on their conversation.
Right. And nowadays the Navy wants to say, oh, we encourage our soldiers to tell us, and maybe they do, but there was at least this stigma that there was fear of not telling the truth, of fear of repercussion, and avoiding the truth, even though maybe the threat wasn't real. Maybe it wasn't that they actively were telling people these things, but they gave the perception that it wasn't okay. So, when the Navy or the U.S. military comes out and says, we encourage, like, it doesn't matter. It's already, the cat's out of the bag. Everyone thinks that they're going to be classified as something because of how shady you guys treat everything. Yeah, so it's very interesting stuff that what you're saying. So your dad, he never directly said that he knew anything, or is there?
Yeah, he never said anything like that. Okay. But he did, because he on his deathbed, he he reminded me about his alien. He had a UFO abduction type experience as well.
When he was a kid?
No, when we were living, before we moved to Savannah. So my youngest brother was only about 5 years old, and he's a part of the story.
Okay. How old were you at that time?
I would have been like 7. Yeah, he would have been like 4 or something like that. I would have been like 7.
Okay, so a few years before your other experience.
Yeah, and so he said he woke up one night, and this wasn't in the same house. We weren't living in Savannah. We were living in St. Mary's, Georgia at the time.
Okay, I'm familiar with.
And Kingston Bay or whatever on there. But he said he woke up one night because he heard a noise. So he went to go check at the door. Right, he got up, went to the door, walked to the door, and he said when he got almost to the door, he noticed something in the corner of the room. So he looks over, and he says he sees a gray alien in the corner of the room. And when he notices it, and he told me it looks like what you would think they look like. She's like, what you would look up what they look like. He's like, that's what it looked like to me.
The elongated heads.
And So he said he just automatically woke up, same kind of thing. He's like, huh, that was a really weird dream. So he went into the kitchen, and we're all in the kitchen or something, and we're all awake already. And he walks in there, my little brother, my youngest brother, goes, hey Dad, I was with you last night. And my dad's like, where? And he points up in the air and goes, there. And my dad, was shocked, because he's like, I thought I just had a dream. And then I wake up the next morning, and here's my kid telling me that we were up somewhere, like we got abducted or something like that, and we're taken up into a ship.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so that he said he forgot about that story. He just put it in the back of his mind because he didn't want my mom to think he was crazy. He didn't want. He's like, if I'd have told her that, I'd have started saying that, she would have divorced me and took y'all away or whatever, So he said he just forgot about it until, on his deathbed, me and him kind of got into it with, I was telling him about my alien experience again. Then he reminded me about his. And I asked my younger brother, and he said when he was younger, he had dreams of being in a chair, like a metal chair or a metal table with a bunch of lights like shining on him. That's his only memory of it. And then he said one time he saw that flash of light like that I experienced. He said it took over the whole room for like a millisecond and then disappeared.
So it sounds like there's been a history of this. So do you think that your Freemason grandfathers have maybe put your family in a situation in which they made a deal so that they would have good lives and be taken care of?
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it could even go back further than them, because even on the other side of the family, on my grandmother's side, I guess one of the grandfathers was a Jewish man that came over here from Romania. He was and there was a story with him where he was they wouldn't let him off the boat unless he said he was Catholic. I guess he might have been a mystic. I guess from what they were saying is he was kind of a gypsy type guy.
So let's get into faith a little bit here, because what you and I talked a little bit beforehand, and you had said that you have come to Christ since you've had these experiences, and I've had these experiences, and ever since I was saved by Christ, I am no longer afraid of the dark. I am no longer experiencing the abduction phenomenon when I go to sleep. I am no longer feeling like I'm being watched. All of the paranoia, all of the everything associated with those memories is a worry of the past. I am fearless now, given the power of Christ, of taking that from me, because they bail to his name. So and I want anyone out there that is relating to Ron's story to understand that if you are experiencing this, or your children are experiencing this, or your friend or family member, someone that you know, listen to them with an open mind and tell them that the name of Jesus Christ can and will scare away any of these things. That it is the bottom line that Jesus Christ, the name of Jesus Christ, will scare away these things, and you will see that it will work. So if you can remember to say it, then just call in Jesus Christ. So let's get into that a little bit. So how did you come into Christ?
In that experience too, that's when I kind of realized, even though the logical
when you
brain,
were 12, that experience.
Oh yeah, the logical brain would tell somebody God isn't real. What it was is I took like a leap of faith, and that's when I discovered that God was real. And it was like kind of like the whole testing with the Job thing. He wanted to see if I would love him for nothing. It's like it's a blasphemy on the temptation of Christ too, right? Because here he is, he's tempting people the same way he tempted Christ. And instead of taking that leap of faith, they didn't, and I feel like that's really what it was. I took a leap of faith. I went against my logical brain and said, there's got to be a God of good. There's got to be, the world can't be ruled by evil entity. The universe can't be ruled by entity. So I took that leap of faith, and I was right. And that's when I realized that they were just scam artists, that really they bow to that power, Jesus, and they are subservient to it as much as they want to deceive everyone. That's why with this whole fake alien invasion stuff, they come down. They're going to try to deceive you, make people think, oh, there isn't no God, and this is really how it is and stuff. And
this is the ascension. Come with us. We're going to take you to a new planet.
When really it's they're tricking you. It's a scam, That's what I realized by taking that leap of faith, and how many people in that moment are willing to go against their logical mind and take that leap of faith as well.
Yeah. That's especially, when you're a kid. Were you growing up in the church, or was this?
Yeah, we were kind of religious, but not really like that. Not super religious.
So you're typical American family, I would say. Kind of Christian, but we're mostly secular. We go because people go to church. That's what they do, and it's kind of like not exactly top of mind all the time. That's the type of vibe it was. Just your typical American family.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's not like you were super into Jesus or God at first, and then this experience helped propel you into.
Well, I struggled because of it. I guess I was having kind of like the Stockholm when I overdosed the day before my 18th birthday.
Oh wow!
And
was this on purpose? Or
yeah, it was me being dumb, but I remembered I was kind of like giving myself to the bad side, because it was like one of those things where it's kind of like I felt like no one didn't understand me, or blah blah blah, and it was kind of like the only thing people that kind of knew me were these reptile things that visited me that one time. So I'm kind of like lashing out, like, yeah, I want to be dark. I want to be evil. I'm giving into it,
Okay.
And I was hanging out with my friends, and he had some sleeping pills, and he's like, hey, take a couple sleeping pills and you'll start tripping and stuff like that. But I ended up I was like, I'll just eat the whole bottle. I ate the whole bottle.
Wow.
But we're sitting there in the driveway, and we're looking up, and we both saw like multiple shooting stars, like after I've already ingested these pills. And I guess at one point I was inside, and I guess the pills kicked in, and I told everyone, hey, I'm gonna go home now and eat. But they said I was out in the middle of the road, and not really the best of friends at the time. They just kind of left me there. But I guess I ended up trying to break into a classmate's house who lived on that street, just happenly, and he called the police on me, and they found me and they took me to the hospital. But the doctors were saying I was like 15 minutes from dying if they didn't like pump my stomach out or something like that.
Wow.
And that's when I kind of had like a Kundalini type awakening. I was very like, I guess I was so close to death that I kind of came back like kind of in a weird way. And it was the saddest moment for me, because it's kind of what saved me from going dark, is because I'm sitting at my birthday table and I'm looking at my whole family, and they're all crying because I just came back from the hospital from overdosing, and stuff. And
so this was the day before?
Yeah. So on my 18th birthday,
well, I meant the overdose was the day before, so then the next day everyone's over you. Wow, okay, that's a very large scale thing. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it kind of took me like, I'm like, oh, I'm not living just for myself. So that kind of started bringing me back towards the good side. And I've made a lot of more mistakes since then. What it was with me is I never wanted I was like, I don't need God, like with my experience, I don't need God and stuff like that. So I'm kind of but I have a bad breakup. I was kind of a hopeless romantic type dude. And I felt that alone feeling again. And I was like, nobody understands me. And then I started, maybe I'm a witch and stuff. I started looking into witchcraft stuff, started buying Wicca books. And I got into the witch stuff, and I took it serious. Like when I do my ritual bath, I'd have my altar right in the middle of my room. I had it, and I'd do all my stuff butt naked, drip, took it serious. And but I was like, I'm gonna be a good witch, and I always offer Jesus a spot at my altar to join me when I do my stuff or whatever. But I never felt that energy of Jesus there. And I started falling into that do as thou wilt lifestyle, and started embracing the dark side again. Like maybe like I started feeling like this.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 20, 28, 29, like that.
Okay.
I think I would have been like 30. I was 30.
Okay, so about 12 years after your overdose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so during that 12 years in between, were you just living your life again?
Yeah. I was just kind of living, just living life, and even with all these experiences and stuff. But I got into the conspiracy stuff with Obama in 2008, because I was an Obama supporter, and then I found out he was just one of them.
Right.
It sent me down that rabbit hole. But
so how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 35.
Okay.
So, but one day I was gonna embrace the dark side again. I'm like, you guys, maybe this is where I belong. It's one of those things where I'm like, this world's not, I'm like, I don't feel accepted here or something like that. And I'm thinking, I've got that same kind of thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna go. Maybe this is where I belong. I'm supposed to be one of these people. And so it's kind of like a victim, like a Stockholm type syndrome thing I have with that experience, with the reptiles and stuff. But one day I'm just sitting there and I feel like I'm lost. And then there's like a light over my shoulder. And I look over and I finally felt Jesus. Like with all these entities and doing all this witchcraft stuff, where were they when I was at my lowest? I have to give them offerings, and I have to do all this stuff. But Jesus he was like, when everyone else is alone, I'm always with you. And that's when I started going back to Christ. It made sense. I was like, I always offered him a place at my altar doing this witchcraft stuff, because I'm like, oh, he's just an ascended master or whatever,
And he never showed up.
Stuff. He never showed up until
that's not what he wanted.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be a part of it. He wants to be all of it. He wants all of it. He wants to be the only one. He doesn't want to share. He's not just some ascended master you call upon and here, I'll give you a little hint. Oh, you listen to what Buddha or whoever, Thoth or whatever has to say too. Jesus is like, when Jesus wants to be the only one. That's it. If you want the truth, you have to accept them full on and nothing else. It has to be only Jesus. That's when I realized. And
so I want to jump in just for a few moments. So that was what I'm picking up on is that you were in a low frequency state of mind, and throughout these different dark times that you're talking about, and that you were influenced into doing dark things, that you were having outside experiences that were bad, so then it drove you to then feel bad, so you wanted others to feel bad, or something to that effect, that maybe you didn't want like your family to feel bad, you just wanted to stop you wanted to stop the hurt. But at the same time, you also felt like you weren't loved the way that you actually are loved all the time.
Yeah.
And there was some kind of block in there. And takes me back to when you were just saying how the tall gray or salamander like being said, that you're kind of going to regret this, and that maybe they were kind of influencing you, because it seems like there's been manipulation happening in your life for a while at different, all throughout this conversation you've mentioned things in order to get you away from Christ, in order to get you on a low frequency, in order to keep you down. And it worked for a while to a point, and still you were able to break through.
Yeah, the thing that finally clicked for me is this: my whole life I'm like, I don't need God, because even with the when I got into the witchcraft type stuff, I was like, I'm not gonna ask for money, I'm not gonna ask for prosperity or anything. I want to just do all good stuff, and but it clicked to me recently, like you need God, you need it has to be, you can't do it on your own. You need that. You need Jesus in your life. That's just what I realized, and I try not to push people away from whatever their beliefs, because I feel like there's always I feel like even if we do pass, and I know it says in the Bible that like once you've died, your decision's already made. I don't feel like Jesus would give up on us so easily. I feel like even if we did pass and you still hadn't found him, I feel like he'd give you that one last opportunity, because at that point, if you're not willing to accept him post-death, you're just, I guess it's just lost at that point.
Well, maybe that's what reincarnation is. Maybe that's why we reincarnate to, try it again, see if
try it again. Yeah,
maybe, I'm not sure, but I was gonna say something, I forget now, but it's very awesome to hear that you're doing so well now. You look,
oh yeah,
you look really healthy. You look, and obviously you just started a podcast, so you're confident in yourself, at least to some degree, because it takes confidence in order to start the podcast and go through with it and put yourself out there for criticism and even for self-criticism. To put oneself out there is not an easy thing to do. So you're very confident in yourself and your experiences. You feel very real, that none of these things are just being made up on the fly, that you have specific experiences in mind. And even though I did my best to throw you off topic, you still had the story that was in your mind. So it wasn't made up, because a made up story is someone is all over the place. This is something that I can tell you of thought and thought and thought of.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so these are all very real experiences. And even though it was a lot of out there stuff that we talked about, obviously abductions aren't accepted on a regular basis. Even it's fringe in the conspiracy theory community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very slim margin of people are willing to accept that they were abducted. So in order for them to then talk about it, it's, we're talking slim pickings here. So,
yeah.
So this is when we start to get into this, and both of us have the experience of, oh, Jesus Christ was able to save us from these horrible experiences that maybe if we went along with it, maybe we could have had a little bit of a better experience. I don't know. But the bottom line is they were manipulating us, children. And, for that, there is no soul contract that you signed with these people, these beings, that says, oh, you can take no, you are traumatizing children, and they're purposely doing it. And then they're manipulating us in our daily lives in order to keep us in a low frequency state, so that either we'll go back to them and call in for them, or at least it keeps us away from the truth, which is Jesus Christ. So
that's yeah.
So it sounds like we have a lot of not shared, but a lot of similar experiences. And this has been a great talk so far.
Yeah,
am I-
that was. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. That's the big turnaround for me was letting Jesus in my heart. I just was like, Jesus, you know me, you know what I want. Just take the wheel, and since I've done that, my life's, I know that some people, it's not saying like, oh, everything is just gonna turn out for me. It's always gonna be a struggle. It's always gonna be a lesson, a trial by fire, because that I think that's why morality and they're how a lot of these Luciferians, they believe that morality and these kind of things are restraints from God from being truly free, like the Aleister Crowley type people.
Right.
When I believe the morality and these things that God wants us to do and this be like, not doing it even though we can, that's the fire that's sharpening our sword. That's what's forging us,
Yeah.
That's ascension. Is not they think to be like the beast, that's
right.
true freedom. That's not true ascension. True ascension is the challenge. It's the hard path, not the easy one.
What I was just about to say is that's what separates man from beast. Is
Mm-hmm.
the beast runs free doing whatever, and man has thought and realizes, oh no, my actions have consequences.
Yeah.
How I treat this person is going to have a major effect in their life, and I can either choose that to be a good thing or choose that to be a bad thing. And if I choose it to be a bad thing because I want to do it because I'm some big baby that I need to get my way,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a childish thing to be immature, it's such a childish thing to be selfish. When you really break it down, it's always the child in you that's trying to overtake.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No worries, but it's always the child in you that's trying to overtake the adult when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mimi, you had something?
Yeah, would I be correct in saying that ever since you had that experience where you truly felt that Jesus is always with you, ever since then, you haven't experienced any more paranormal, alien, gray, reptilian type experiences?
It's actually, I kind of feel like it's kind of getting a little bit more spiritual and strange since I've kind of come to Jesus the other day when I actually the first podcast I did, first time I ever told the story publicly like that. My girlfriend, she saw like a smoke cloud like behind me, kind of like float up into the air or something one time. And then recently here in my bedroom, I look over and I see it too. I see like a smoke cloud thing kind of just float off.
But it's not anything that
scary?
you're fearful of, like the
No,
you had before, right?
Yeah, yeah. I used to sleep with the lights on and everything like that, but now I can sleep in the dark, no problem.
See, guys, like listeners, like this is real stuff. Like, and most adults are afraid of the dark, and they have to run to the kitchen and then hurry up and open the fridge so that the light's shining. Because if you turn on the light, it's too bright for you. But you got to have a little bit of light. These types of things. This is a real thing that we need to face. Whenever we have an issue, we have to recognize, like, why do we do that? Why am I afraid of the dark? And actually think about it. And like, is there something out there that's going to get you? Well, if you come to Christ, then nothing. You learn that nothing can come get you. That is amazing.
Yeah, that was the lesson, and it's as simple as that. Just just giving yourself to Christ and just watch it unravel. It'll start, everything starts falling in place. Like actually with this whole because I thought, and then I was like, what, I want to get my story out here. I want to go public and start telling it and stuff, because hopefully it shows people that God is real, even if there's these entities come and they do all these things like Project Bluebeam type stuff. People will be like, no, you guys are deceivers, you're liars. I know you're, or whatever. And a week later is when I'm on the next podcast. And it's like, it just happens like that with, you set it there, and just, you have to pay attention to the blessings. They'll be there. Like, it shows up, kind of like, getting into the number thing, what kind of.
Yeah, and I want to get transition into that if you don't mind. So, we got about 20 minutes or so left here.
Yeah.
So why don't you break down this number thing, that this was someone who approached you to become a Freemason, also broke down this number pattern for you?
Yeah. So yeah, he just in class, he just is like, hey, let me show you something cool. I feel
So
like
a classmate?
Yeah, he was a classmate.
And what grade was this?
This would have been probably 11th grade. I'm thinking 10th, 11th, like that.
What, he had family that was Freemasons, or he was a part of it?
He was one himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what he said. And this is in high school,
Okay.
And he broke down this number thing, and it's kind of like the story of God, and then Adam, and then Eve, and then the break, the Trinity thing. And if you want, I can. I don't think I have my notepad in here real quick. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna go run real quick and grab this.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, so we're back, and Ron has this drawing of what he has is the number. So go ahead, Ron. Why don't you break it down instead of me?
All right, I'm gonna go and flip the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so he wrote out the numbers like this.
Okay, so Ron's writing out the numbers now, making up the grid for us.
So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right.
And this is what we use to explain the physical universe. This is, the code right here. I'll have to bring it a little closer to the charger. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
So can you still hear me? I guess.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So he goes, we have to look within. The kingdom of God is within.
Okay.
So he does this real quick, and he makes this. Let me draw this out.
So we have lines drawing from 0 to 9, 1 to 8, 2 to 7, 3 to 6, and 4 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Then he says we look within by
it's like
breaking
a rainbow.
the layers,
it kind of looks
the
like
layers down. Yeah, from outside to inside.
The color, yeah.
So it goes 9 plus 0 is 9. 8 plus 1, 9. 7 plus 2, and then it just keeps going down.
Yeah. 3 and 6 and 4 and 5, right? They're all equal 9.
3, 4, 5. So we have 5 nines. And then he goes, now we can't, this is the most high, right? The most high. We can't go above this. This is like the God, the pinnacle, the alpha.
So 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. So 5 nines is the pinnacle. Okay.
And the most high, kind of like what he said. And then he said from there, he made man from his image. We can't, since we can't go any higher, we can't go above God. We have to come down. We have to break it down. So now we subtract from outside to inside. So 9 minus 0, 8 minus 1, and then 7 minus 3, and then it basically breaks down into the odd numbers.
Okay, so 9 minus 0 is still 9. 8 minus 1 is 7. 7 minus 2 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3, and 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, so what's that, like the reverse?
So yeah, so we see here
the inverse.
We make God made man in his image, so it starts with the 9.
Okay.
And this is subtraction, so this would be the opposite. So so we see, and that must explain why there's the whole 7 days, why 7 is kind of an important number.
So 9 breaks into 7.
Yeah, and then it goes down. So now he says we have to make Eve, right? So God makes Eve from Adam. So now we're basically from here, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract God from Adam,
Okay, so
And
we're
then
going to track the nines, the 99999, and we're going to track 97531 from that.
and that becomes the odd numbers.
Okay, 02468.
So now you have the most high, and then you have the odd numbers in perfect order going from left to right. And now you have the odd numbers. Oh wait. You have the odd numbers.
So the odd numbers are going down and the even numbers are going up.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's
Okay.
yep. And then so from here, now we're gonna break it down 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay,
So and then
so
he
you
gets
just wrote 5 zeros now.
because that's the breakdown of everything.
Okay, so in between the most high, which is all the nines, and the most low, which is all the zeros, is the descending odd numbers and the ascending even numbers.
Because he's like God says in Revelation, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end.
Okay, so the nines and the zeros are God.
And then everything else. So this goes into a different thing here, because this is where I come into things. So this is the magnet right here, right? This is the south. This is the South Pole. This is the North Pole.
Okay.
And here,
so you're saying 0 is the South Pole and 9 is the North Pole.
Yeah, like if you actually add this block up here,
right?
This all equals 90.
Okay, so let's 9 plus 1 plus 8 is 17. So all these numbers added up would equal 90.
Would equal 90.
What do you mean?
Okay, so are you saying like
this
add
is
straight down?
45. This is I guess 20. Yeah. Well, if you add
I get what you're saying.
Okay,
yeah,
so add the top line, add the middle line, add the third line, and then add those 3 numbers together, and you get 90.
Yeah, the accumulation, like this is 9 times 5 is 45.
Right.
And then I think 9 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 is like 25.
Right.
Yeah, and then this is 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 is 20.
22.
20.
Or 20.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So here goes another thing too. So and the I talk to this like this is a heartbeat, like the heart. You know what that little heartbeat sensor is, where it does like this, and this is called a PQRST wave. And this goes into some gematria stuff, because
so that drawing is called the PQRST wave.
Yeah, I don't know if I did exactly right, but it's kind of, like the little heartbeat thing.
Right.
Right. So that's called a PQRST wave.
Okay.
And oddly enough, if you add up P plus Q plus R plus S plus T, that equals 90. Yeah. Also, the heart, before it contracts or whatever, it pumps, it rests at negative 90 millivolts.
Wow.
Yeah. And that goes into some other stuff too. So this thing also, if we notice here, at this point, so we have the 90. If I can actually trace it down and go from here, and then come over, and sorry, I'm not doing this too well.
So what he's doing, audience, is he traced the 9 to the 0, and then made a triangle.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna do this. It'll be easier if I do it clean.
Okay.
That's what I
2, 3, 4, 9.
Okay, so he's getting that all set up for us. So anyone that's only listening, it would really help if you watch the video, so you could see. So, all right. So why don't you walk us through? Yeah. So from the middle 9 of the top row to the 0 in the third row, all the way to the left, is drawing a line, and then from the 0 to the 8 is another line on straight across, and then from that 8 to the 9 where they started is another triangle.
Yeah, and then I'll do it the opposite way.
Okay, so then we go from the bottom row of zeros, you draw a line to the second to the top row where the 9 begins, and then the straight line straight across to the 1, and then the 1 to the 0. So it's 90 is the first thing that you connected with both of these.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
it's a Merkaba. It's
a Merkaba,
it's the
yeah.
Star of David. That's what the shape is.
Mm-hmm. And then
And right in the middle is what?
Is the 5 and the 4, because it's still 45 and 5 and 4. It's I felt like the 45th presidency was important as far as the occult type stuff goes, because of that 9
looks that way
power. And so also, if we add this up, this is 36, not 18, and 18 is 36.
Okay.
And that goes into 369. Now here goes another thing. Let me draw this out, because this is so with that block, I realized. Hold on, let me do it again. That it's a bunch of scribbles now. All
right. So
okay, so this is what Tesla meant here about the 369. 369 is the key to the universe. So this, if we trace out this circle, this is also like in the Islam thing, there's the crescent moon.
All right, so you just drew a C around the 9s and 0s.
Mm-hmm. And then inside here is the star. This is the key. This is the universe. So it's basically like a key going into a lock.
Okay, so it looks as if it's some kind of phallic symbol going into some kind of protective type of deal.
And then this is what clicked with me recently.
Oh, a magnet. Okay.
Yeah, because
that's a cool magnet.
Yeah, recently, and I got this recently, and I was looking at it and just kind of messing with it, and then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, that matches the thing.
Okay.
So the 7531. Let me break this down. So now it's 3, 4, 5. And then so now I took the key out, and that's what we get.
Okay.
So this, if no matter how you add this up, it has to kind of be like, ordered, structured.
Right.
It will come
7, 2, 5, 4, 3, 6, and 1, 8. They're all add up to 9.
Yeah, this will, and even if you go across, like if you go 2, 1, 3, and then 8 plus 7 is 15,
which is 6.
Mm-hmm. And then that'll all be 18. If I go 3 plus 15,
okay,
18, or if I go 4, 3, 6,
if
5,
you add them together from the corners.
So, but it all the
8 and 7 is 15, plus 2 and 1 is 3. Them added together would be 18, which is 1 and 8, which is 9.
And then the 18 plus 18, we do it 2 times. That's always 36. Same thing up here.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. These two, 36.
Right, the 2 9s to the left and the 2 9s to the right, they would equal 36. Okay, so this is interesting. So what did this guy tell you about this number sequence?
That's all he taught me was the block. He just drew the block out. He didn't.
And this is something he learned from Freemasonry, he said.
Yeah, he was showing me something he thought from it, And I feel like maybe I was in that position to learn this stuff, but instead of keeping it a secret, because that's what he said. He said, keep this a secret. This is for like the adepts, This is for you're chosen to know this. Yeah, the enlightened.
So what is this number sequence used for? How can we use this?
I think it has to do with some sort of magnetism, free energy, and it goes into a lot of different things. I was gonna break it. So this is like the 369. So it made me think. because a magnet, if we put two magnets together, I guess I probably should study how this goes a little. But so I got north here, north, south, south. So it'd be like this: north, north, south, south, right?
Okay, so north and south. You're saying you have two magnets.
If I put
there are
two-
two different
mhm.
poles that a north and a south could touch, or positive and negative is another way of saying it on
That's
each
how
side.
it would connect, right?
Right.
So here we go. Let me go. Let me show you this other thing. So this is the thing I got last night. Is hold on, it's gonna take me a second to draw this out.
All right.
2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. So while you're drawing that out, Mimi, so what do
Alright.
you got writing down over there? Because I see you. Are you just drawing along with us? Okay. Do you want to? So so are you picking up on anything?
Yeah, I'm not. The only place I'm stuck on is the Merkaba. Is that supposed to add up to something on
Is
those lines?
what?
Because it doesn't.
No, so he was
really.
doing the 90 was the first thing. When he drew the line from the 9 to the 0, he was going along with his 90 thing at that point. That
Like
if
9, 7, and 0.
what do you mean 970?
Yeah, where are
Let me
you
see.
getting the 90?
So it's the
Yeah.
9 and the 0 is the 9 to the 0, the 9 to the 0. And then he drew the other lines to connect the triangles to make the Merkaba.
Yeah, it fits the Merkaba is within the cube.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So what you have drawn out now, you have 5 9s next to 5 zeros. Then at the top line, then the bottom line is 5 zeros to 5 9s, and then in between is the descending odd numbers from 97531 to then the descending even numbers 86420, and the reverse on the next line, which is the ascending even numbers 02468 followed by the ascending odd numbers 13579. So what is this rectangle?
This would be if
And
we
this is
had,
something you learned last night.
yeah, if it
Okay.
kind of just hit me because I
Okay.
with
Moment of
this
brilliance.
magnet.
Okay, so the connecting magnets.
So it's basically, if you see it, the way the two magnets connect to each other would be like this, and it's a
Okay.
perfect match for this.
Okay.
I just drew it upright so it's easier to understand, but I
Right.
think this would be more of like a mirror universe. Like this is the physical universe, this is the astral world.
Okay,
connected.
so upside down and backwards.
Backwards, yeah.
Okay, so it's not
So
it's not just a mirrored thing, it's a flipped thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Same thing
Okay.
with the poles here, because we have
Right.
north as the alpha, and then we have
Right.
south.
Because if it was mirrored, then you would have at the poles there, you would have north and north together and south together. So it's flipped, but and mirrored. So
Mhm.
that is an interesting concept because Karamosha and I talked about the other day that we both have separately, individually, had the thought that we're upside down, that the clouds might be down and we might be up.
And so if I did the two Merkabas on both sides, right? Same thing like
Right.
we had before. We'd
Okay,
have
the 90s.
this would be 36 if we left that circle one out. Same thing on this side. So now we have 72. And
Okay.
72 is you ever heard in the Kabbalah they say that there's 72 names of God?
Yeah, so why are we getting rid of the middle 9 in both sections?
Because it if this is the spirit, if this is the let me draw this out.
So it's not connected.
Yeah, it's not connected. So this is like the separate. This is like separated.
Okay, so outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it still would but yeah, so this is like outside that, and hold on, this might make it. So this is, and the thing is too, this is stuff I'm learning because I don't even
So is this gematria? So you're just intuitively doing these types of things?
Yeah, it's just because 72 because also 72 like the Goetia, 72 demons. Solomon, trapped the 72 demons in his brass vessel.
Okay.
So
I didn't know
there's
that.
just a lot with the number 72.
All right,
And
72 virgins in Islam.
It's in Islam, and also 72 is half of 144. And that
Okay,
the
yes, that's interesting.
144 with the 1,440,000 from the Bible.
Yeah, 144,000. Yeah.
There's actually a weird thing with that. If you take, there's 1,440 minutes in a day.
Right.
If you this is something someone will have to do in a calculator, but if you divide 1,400 minutes in a day divided by 1,296, which is how many inches there are in a cubic foot.
Okay, 1,296.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then equal that, and it should come up with 1.1111111.
Close.
What'd you get?
1.0802469113.
Oh,
Okay.
1,440 divided by 1,296.
1,440 divided by, say that second number again.
1,296.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
All
she got
ones.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that alpha energy in that. So I feel like this might even be basically a blueprint to make something.
Right. So you were saying that the male numbers are the odd numbers and the female numbers are the even numbers. And so when we marry a 1 and a 0, that's man and woman. That's 10. And then when Aleister Crowley says that 11 is the most evil number, it's because it's two ones next to each other, which means it's two men, two phallic symbols next to each other.
Here goes actually a crazy part, because we did this, right? And this, I wasn't taught this. This is, did I mess up? Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 7, 8, 9. So I did that, right? If we move the 0 to the other end over here, because they say 0 means nothing. It has no effect over the physical reality, right?
It has no value.
Has no value, but look what happens when we move it over.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0.
I get it. They all equal 11.
Yeah, and so now if I put the 0 on this side and we do it the same way, 1 plus 0, 2 plus 9, 3 plus 8, it'll come out
4
to
plus
1,
7 and 5 and 6.
11.
They all equal 11.
Except for this first one, right?
Right, that would be 1.
Wait, what?
So that, see, because it'd be
1 plus 0 is 1.
Yeah.
I know.
So this would be essentially 1 plus 44, which is 12 times 12.
Okay.
And there's which is 70, which is half. 144 is 72 times 2. But I don't know if you ever heard of the mysterious stranger number 44.
No, I'm not familiar.
Mark Twain.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
There's a bunch of theories about what the mysterious stranger number 44 is, and in one of the books they call it like young Lucifer. Well, what we see here is this is God. Even though we switch the number around 0, we still show a separation. This is God, and this is Lucifer, number 44. And what does that come in? Because when they say 1111, make a wish. So we have 2 1111s. That's karma. This is karma, and this is dharma. This is the positive repercussions of your positive repercussions. These are negative repercussions, I think. Or dharma is the positive, and then karma is the negative.
Okay.
So that's where I feel like the synchronicity comes in. The 1111, make a wish.
Okay.
I feel like it has to do with this layout here.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it goes.
That is interesting of why humanity is obsessed with 11. Spiritual people are obsessed with 1111 more than any other number.
It's
That's
that
interesting.
alpha power. It's like maybe it's an alpha energy. It's a signal per se, that they're picking up on. But there's like I was gonna say that this is only a small part. There's so much that this number thing unravels and breaks down into, and like I said, this part here is something I just came up with recently, even though it looks like a mess now. But
Yeah, no, that's all right.
it came with this magnet because I bought this magnet a couple of weeks ago, and it just clicked to me. I was like, wait a minute, this number thing I'm doing, it looks like a magnet.
Yeah.
So then I looked into it and magnetism, and I realized it connects like that. So I just did that with this number, and it broke out, and
It's super interesting.
Yeah, so this kid shows you this, and then what?
Yeah.
Like, what was his,
so
what happened next?
There was a classmate there. She sat down, and I said, hey, look what he just showed me. And I tried to show it to her, but she didn't care. She's like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
And he
Well, I think it's a very specific thing. I don't think a lot of people would care about, even today.
care.
Ones
And
heroes.
so he and that goes, but he goes, oh, don't tell that to people. You're not supposed to share that with. That's not for everybody. And I said, because he asked me when he did it, when he made that first number block, all this other stuff, I just kind of figured this out messing with it.
Right.
He said, I wanted to go back, but he said, I told him that, he said, what do you think of it? And I said, this proves that God's real, because it shows that there's a balance in the universe. We're not random. Things don't just randomly happen.
Right.
It's coded. That's like God's hidden pattern right there, essentially. And
it's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
So I told him, I'm like, if it involves God, I'm gonna share it with everybody I know. And he didn't like that answer. He said, well, there's a lot of powerful people who don't want you sharing this with everyone. And I said, I don't care. I'm protected by God. And so I the next day I was transferred to another classroom.
Say teachers
yeah. But when it happened, I came home and I asked my parents, I'm like, what are Freemasons? And they're like, my dad looked shocked. He's like, that's a secret society,
What do you know about that, son?
Yeah, what do you know about that? And I was like, some kid asked me to be a Freemason. You showed me this number thing. Now, in this number thing here, I forgot about it. I only remembered it until after my spiritual awakening, going back into the, and when I was hanging out with my dad. I was kind of like his caretaker as he was, passing away. But it just popped in my head. I was like, I remember this number thing, and I never really dug into it. So I just started fiddling with it, and that's when I started realizing it.
Finding all these oddities.
Yeah.
With it.
Like, it even makes this strange symbol and everything like that. I realized that symbol, and that's a optical illusion in itself, because
it's inverted triangles.
Yeah. It looks like a beginning. But there's something I wanted to show before I go on. Like, I don't know, in the Bible, how the number 40 is so significant and stuff like that.
Right.
The 40 days, 40 nights. Did you also know that 40 is the only number in the English language that goes in perfect alphabetical order?
It's interesting.
It's the only number that goes in alphabetical order. And when you look at this, when you look at this pattern, there's 40 digits.
Oh, wow.
This is the first block is 20, 2 blocks is 40 to make this right here.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, man, this was a great conversation. I mean, we covered an array of topics here tonight, and you're the first one that we got to speak to with the new microphones. So,
oh, yeah.
So, it's a big day. Yeah, this was
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, well, we're honored to have you, and we'll have to meditate sometime together.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
That'll be super cool, especially you're right in Savannah, not too far. So we'll have to meet up sometime and hang out. Maybe look at the structures downtown. Get some
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, I don't know. You didn't even know about that. There's that one echo square down there where you can hear your own echo.
No,
There,
I'm not aware.
yeah, there's a magic square down there. It's on River Street, and if you stand in the circle of it, it's like surrounded by hedges. It'll sound like you can hear yourself talking to it sounds like you hear your voice outside of your head. It's like a weird thing.
All right, I want to go check it out.
We should go do that.
Yeah,
Magic Square on River Street. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, do you want to tell the audience where they can find you at, your podcast and social media?
Oh, my podcast is called The Imaginarium of Thought. And my Instagram is Berserk Space Cowboy.
I like that.
I guess.
So, and that's on Instagram, you said?
Instagram, yeah.
Okay. And is there any final words that you want to leave our audience with of everything we went over?
Yeah, I'm sure. I was hoping I was able to get over, but yeah, there's a lot more to it. But
yeah, well, I'm sure there's so much more to the numbers. But I just meant like a brief summary of what you would want to leave. A few sentences that you would want to leave the audience with.
Just to trust Jesus. Trust that power. It's life changing, and it's these reptilian entities. When I basically just called them out, it was like they were rooted, they were exposed. And that's why I feel like communism, which is the political party of the devil, is so adamant about atheism, because they want, where our goal is to save as many people as possible, their goal is to make sure that not as many people get saved. Their goal is to not save people, our goal is to save people, and that's why they push atheism.
Yeah. I love the shirt that has Jesus as a goalie and it says Jesus saves. I gotta get me one of those. Yeah. So that's wonderful, and I like to end my conversations by asking my guests how they ground themselves and what their favorite relaxation activity is. So what do you do on a daily basis or a regular basis that grounds yourself to make you human and enjoy the human experience?
Just doing something good with the people you care and love, just spending time with them, realizing that this is what life's really about. It's not about the driving the fancy, because people could have all the fancy cars and the fancy house, but inside they're cold and empty, so it's if you have love, appreciate it, because that's in the end, that's what matters, is the love you have for people is what makes you eternal, and the love for people have for you, that's what keeps us eternal.
That is a beautiful way to end this, my friend. I'm so glad to have gotten you on, and again, you were so patient with me as I bumbled through the day of trying to get my new setup and then get it all set up. So I want to thank you so much for coming on. Mimi, do you have any final words for us?
Nope. I'm looking up the square so I can go there.
All right. Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Want to test it out. It says, if you speak, like nobody else will be able to hear it the way you hear it if they're outside of the square. Okay. But it says it's just an acoustic anomaly because of the way the buildings are built around that space that they marked with an X.
Nothing in Georgia.
Nothing,
is built by accident. So
right,
we're gonna have to check that out together.
Happens to have an X in the middle.
Yeah, maybe we'll meditate there together.
In the middle. Yep.
Right. Just happens to have a big old non-descriptive X.
Right.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence.
Of course. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to say goodbye to our audience now. Goodbye, everybody. We will talk to you later.
Good night.
Bye.